Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Galen and Tricia Westfall. First I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Galen Wade Westfall was born on September 13, 1964 in Hugo, Colorado. He was raised in Castle Rock, which is 29 miles south of Denver. Eventually he established a waste services company called Expert Disposal and was financially successful. In 2006, he had a daughter named Jessica. This same year, he met another key figure in this story. Tricia Sue Green was born on May 7, 1975 in Charlotte, Michigan. She had a twin sister named Terry, as well as 4 other siblings. Tricia was raised in the town of Sunfield and graduated from Lakewood High School in 1993. In November of that same year, she married a man named Brian Briggs. Not long after this, the couple moved to Colorado because Brian joined the Army and was stationed at Fort Carson. In 1995, the couple had a son named CJ, and in 2000 they had a son named Noah. At some point, they also had a daughter named Tiffany, but she died as an infant. To earn a living, Tricia worked at the Department of Motor Vehicles. As I mentioned, Galen and Tricia met in 2006. Galen would frequently visit Tricia at the DMV and make advances at her. For example, he would buy her flowers. In 2007, Tricia divorced her husband Brian and moved into a rented house in Castle Rock. This housing arrangement was set up by Galen, and Tricia's rent was heavily discounted. By September 2008, the couple was living together along with Galen's daughter Jessica and Tricia's sons CJ and Noah. In September 2009, Galen and Tricia married. Galen continued to operate his business, and Tricia continued to work at the DMV. In 2017, the family moved into a 7,200 square foot house at 7678 Kryptonite Lane, which Galen purchased for $765,000. Despite living in an address named after a substance that causes weakness, the marriage between Galen and Tricia appeared to be strong. Many people thought the couple was happy, although sometimes Galen appeared to be a little intense and controlling. He was not always a superman. In October 2021, Galen received a tip from one of Tricia's coworkers at the DMV, indicating that she was having an affair. He filed a complaint with the county, but they told him there was no evidence of infidelity. As it turns out, Tricia was having an affair with a man. The police would later describe it as an emotional affair, but that still counts as infidelity. Galen really wanted Tricia to quit her job at the DMV, probably believing this would terminate the affair, but she would not do it. Tricia loved her job and her coworkers. She had no interest in leaving. In the fall of 2021, Galen and Tricia took a vacation to Mexico, returning on November 6. One day later, on November 7, at 4:13 a.m., Galen walked around the interior of his house and removed 3 security cameras. At one point, he can be seen looking to his right toward the stairs before taking one of the cameras, as if he was trying to make sure that Tricia was not walking down the staircase. After removing the cameras, he unceremoniously dropped them in some type of container. It appears as though Galen may have been planning to do something that he did not want to be video recorded. Before moving to the timeline of the crime, let's hear a word from today's sponsor, Factor. Living an active and healthy lifestyle isn't always easy, and cooking on top of everything else can feel overwhelming. Factor gives you the flexibility to stay active without succumbing to a quick cheat meal. Eat clean and stress-free with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never-frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready in just 2 minutes. There is no preparation, and there is no mess. Skip the grocery store, the takeout trap, and cooking fatigue. Factor just introduced its healthiest menu yet, doubling the size to over 80 rotating weekly meals. That's 3 times more new meals each week, with flavors that keep things exciting. Factor now has twice as many seafood dishes and has doubled the number of high-protein meals. Factor is the perfect solution if you want fast, wholesome, restaurant-quality meals for less than takeout. After a long day of researching, analyzing, and recording, Factor is my go-to solution to stay efficient and avoid wasting time on cooking or going to the grocery store. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code DrGrandeFB50 to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code Dr. Grande FB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On November 15, 2021, Galen dropped Tricia off at the DMV, telling her that her vehicle needed to be serviced. After having the vehicle serviced, Galen drove to a bank and made a financial transfer. He sent his daughter Jessica a text message saying that he found out some things. He advised her not to be at the family house after 4 p.m. because he and Tricia were going to get into it. Not long before her shift ended at work, Tricia received a phone call from Galen. A coworker heard Tricia say, "Why 3:30 p.m.?" After this, Tricia said, "Okay, I'll be ready." At 3:30 p.m., Tricia exited the DMV, climbed into Galen's pickup truck, and she and Galen drove away. 6 minutes later, at 3:36 p.m., multiple 911 calls were placed about a pickup truck that left the road and collided with other vehicles. The crash occurred on East Geddes Avenue, just east of South Havana Street in Centennial, Colorado, which is not far from the DMV, where Tricia worked. When the police arrived, they found a black Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck. 57-year-old Galen Westfall was in the driver's seat, and his 46-year-old wife, Tricia Westfall, was in the passenger seat. Both of them had been shot to death. Galen had sustained a gunshot wound to the head. Tricia had been shot in her face and arm. It appeared as though Galen's truck had slammed into an unoccupied white pickup truck while moving quickly, then struck an unoccupied light blue SUV at a lower speed. It came to rest right next to the SUV. At first, the police had no idea what happened. Did someone shoot Galen and Tricia from outside the pickup truck? Was this some sort of road rage incident? Maybe they were shot, and this is what caused the collision. Or did the gunshots come from inside the vehicle, like either Galen or Tricia was the shooter? It didn't take long to solve the mystery. There was a pistol found near Tricia's body and a bullet hole in the passenger side door. The bullet had traveled from inside the truck through the door to the outside. There was also a bullet hole in one of the deployed airbags, which meant that the gun was fired after the truck hit the other vehicles. Right before the collision, Galen had the accelerator depressed to 99%. He never attempted to apply the brakes. After causing the collision, Galen shot Tricia 2 times, then brought an end to his own life. After Galen and Tricia were dead, Tricia's coworkers received a mysterious text message from an unknown number. The message indicated that Tricia was having an affair with one of her coworkers. The police investigated and discovered that Galen had asked a female family member to purchase a prepaid cell phone. These untraceable phones are sometimes referred to as burner phones. Galen had specific instructions for this family member. On the night of November 15, she was to send a text message to Tricia's coworkers telling them about the affair. It appears as though Galen wanted people to believe that he was justified in committing murder. Even after his death, he was trying to protect his reputation. Now moving to my analysis. It seems pretty clear that Galen murdered Tricia because she was having an emotional affair. The motive is not really a mystery. However, it's not exactly clear when Galen decided to commit the homicide. We know that on November 7, he was thinking about concealing evidence because he removed 3 interior cameras from his house. Whatever he was planning at that point was going to occur inside his home. However, he ended up killing Tricia in a parking lot 17 miles away. Clearly, something did not go as planned. The police have not been straightforward about what Galen was thinking in the time leading up to the murder. One officer indicated that Galen may have started planning the murder on November 4, 2021, 11 days before the shooting. This same officer also said that something pushed Galen over the edge on November 15, the day of the shooting. This meant that Galen may have actually decided to complete the murder on that day, so he may not have been planning the murder the entire time. This brings me to the question, what do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Galen was self-centered, insecure, arrogant, manipulative, deceptive, controlling, had a sense of entitlement, and was exceedingly creepy. He started romantically pursuing Tricia after seeing her at the DMV. Galen was living with another woman at this time, and Tricia was married to Brian. Unwisely, Tricia gave in to Galen's advances. It's not clear if she became romantically involved with him while she was still married, but at the very least, it seems like she was thinking about it. For example, in quick succession after divorcing Brian, Tricia accepted a living arrangement orchestrated by Galen, lived with him, and married him. Galen realized that the start of his romance with Tricia was tainted by ignominious and dishonorable behavior. If Tricia was willing to arrange to be with Galen while still married, or even worse, have an affair with him, then what would stop her from cheating on him? The way that Galen and Tricia connected could have foreshadowed how their relationship would terminate. This made Galen paranoid. He became extremely controlling and demanding. He needed to know where Tricia was at every moment in the day. She had no freedom in her marriage with him. Eventually, Galen's worst nightmare became a reality. Tricia had an emotional affair. When Galen tried to intervene, he was told there was no evidence of infidelity, but he knew the affair was real. He had to find some other way to stop it. My guess is that Tricia told Galen that she terminated the affair and would never cheat on him again. She was lying to him and lost in the euphoria of infidelity. She was inside this fantasy deeply and could not perceive risks to her safety. Tricia wasn't making rational decisions and continued communicating with her affair partner via text message. On November 4, 2021, Galen somehow discovered that the affair never ended. He became furious and started making some plans to commit murder. In an effort to appease Galen, Tricia told him the affair was a mistake and she would end it permanently. She meant it this time. She promised him that she was completely serious. She had lied before, but she wasn't lying now. Galen was ambivalent. He had strong feelings in two directions. On the one hand, he wanted to murder Tricia to get revenge for the affair. On the other hand, he believed that she may be telling the truth, so he was still entertaining non-homicidal solutions because he wanted the marriage to work. Galen was riding a razor's edge between murder and marital bliss. To be prepared in the event that he decided to commit murder, he removed the 3 cameras from the inside of his house not long after arriving home from Mexico. Galen remained ambivalent, but anything could have pushed him into the realm of homicide. On November 15, 2021, or perhaps not long before that day, he found out that Tricia's affair was ongoing. At this point, he fully committed to his plan to kill her, even telling his daughter not to be at the house after 4 p.m. Galen had no intention of surviving at this point, which made him particularly dangerous. I believe Galen wanted to kill Tricia in the house, but after the couple left the DMV, they started arguing. It's possible that Tricia realized Galen was dangerous and tried to exit his truck. This would have derailed Galen's plan because Tricia would have escaped. He pressed the accelerator to the floor and caused a serious collision. In a final act of cowardice, he murdered Tricia with his pistol. Now moving to my final thoughts. I think the lesson learned in this case is that relationships that start with even a hint of infidelity are often doomed. When Tricia met Galen in the DMV in 2006, she may have said to herself that it was okay to entertain a relationship with him because she was not happy in her marriage. Galen was the one who was going to save her from a life of misery. Everything would be better with him. She was not happy in her marriage, but with Galen, it would work out fine. On the other side of the equation, Galen may have told himself something similar about his current romantic relationship. Tricia was his dream lover, so much better than the person that he was with. Everything would be fine if he could just be with Tricia. All his fantasies would come true. He would be much happier. Both Galen and Tricia believed that they were immune from the laws of human behavior. They were special. The rules did not apply to them. Once they were together, they would enjoy a magical and perfect marriage. As it turns out, they were both wrong. Tricia was willing to have an affair, and Galen was willing to commit murder. Galen accurately assessed Tricia's risk of being unfaithful, but Tricia grossly underestimated Galen's risk of being homicidal. Those are my thoughts on the case of Galen and Tricia Westfall. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.